Today, I have the pleasure and privilege of having Jessica Vellela here with me on the Toddcast. Jessica, what an opportunity. You're a professional in the field of Ayurveda. Why do or how can we benefit from implementing Ayurveda in our lifestyle?
Well, Todd, thank you, first of all, for having me here. It's a pleasure to be able to talk with you today and share some of this amazing wisdom from Ayurveda. I think it's going to be hugely beneficial for every individual out there, right? If anybody out in the audience today can say, "Oh no, I'm good on health. I don't need any help. I got it all covered," right? If you're in that boat, no problem. You're set. But for most of us, there's always something. There's always a question. And it may be as simple as, is this the right type of food to eat in this season? Is this the type of food that's going to help benefit my body long term, short term and long term, right? And then as we age, feeling things starting to set in, like an old house settling into place, creaks and cracks and things going on. And a lot of people have tools to work with that stuff, like yoga, meditation, and things of that sort. Ayurveda is another tool. And so I think it is super beneficial for everybody to get exposed to it and to be able to gain that information and knowledge on self-awareness.
Amazing. Do you feel like folks and people that you work with are coming to you with illness? How often do you have people coming to you that are healthy and interested in Ayurveda?
Yeah, so there's probably about, maybe I'd say like a 70-30 split on that. Most people that come are having some sort of acute health issue, and it may be flaring in an acute way and has been a chronic issue leading up to, the point that they're at now, meaning the last several years, possibly even several decades. And then there are a select few number of very young, very smart individuals out there who say, hey, I got something good going on. Let me hold on to that. What can I do to really make sure that I keep this heading in the right direction? Right now, that's probably only about 30%, maybe a little less.
Do you feel like there's a shift toward preventative medicine? Do you feel like we are moving a little bit more in that direction of seeking good, healthy habits before we actually do feel like we need them?
I think so. And I think even with folks that have had to go through the struggle of some sort of disease, whether it be chronic disease or acute disease, they appreciate it even more. And so even if somebody does come with fibromyalgia for 20 or 30 years, or with thyroid issues for 20 or 30 years, that the front of their list is actually, how do I maintain my health and how do I improve it? And then they'll look back and say, okay, I've also been dealing with this thing for a long time. Um, you can do something about that.
Yeah.
And most people don't even think that there is such a system of medicine out there that can look at you and say, okay, you've been dealing with this chronic disease burden for 20 plus years, but guess what? Maybe there is something that can be done to improve it.
Great point. I don't want to assume that the listeners know what Ayurveda is. Can you help illuminate on the subject?
Absolutely. So Ayurveda is a full-fledged system of medicine. In India, it is recognized as a licensed healthcare system. It stands as one of six, actually. And so they allow multiple systems of medicine to coexist relatively peacefully. India is a very different place. Indian society, Indian culture has been going on for thousands of years, right? And so for humans to have existed for as long as we have, we must have had some type of healthcare system. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't even be here today. So I think most people can agree, medicine has always been there in some form or another. Trying to look back now and understand what that was like 2 or 3,000 years ago is very difficult, especially if we stay only within the range of the Western paradigm. But once we expand that to global traditional systems, of which Ayurveda is only one, we start to see a much more prolific and well-developed systematic way of managing healthcare over time. So back in the day, Ayurveda was really developed to mostly try to help prevent people from getting sick in the first place. And that was in everybody's best interest. Less use of resources, less downtime in society and in family and in community structures, right? And better health and better vitality overall. It did also develop to be able to handle diseases. And so Ayurveda as a medical system is very well established. There are literally hundreds of diseases and subclassifications described in classical literature here. And with those, we have treatment protocols. If a person presents with whatever their disease may be, if it is in a certain season and they're at a certain age, and they have a certain background in terms of what their cultural habits are, dietary habits, lifestyle habits, we may treat them a certain way using certain medicines. If that presentation comes in differently, we then customize it a different way to be able to meet their needs more effectively. So really, I think Ayurveda was the original system of personalized medicine. And it developed that way over time through really astute observation of practitioners and of experts. Traditional ways of practice, especially in South India, included Ayurvedic doctors passing their knowledge and practice down through the family lineage. So you'd have a chain of Ayurvedic doctors going back generations, 5, 10, 15 generations. Now, some of that has been cut short because of all of the political instability that's happened in India over the last 1,000 years. But we still can find some families where they go back up to maybe 10 generations in their practice, right?
Wow.
Now, guess what? Not only are they passing that knowledge down cumulatively, they're working with a lot of the same families, generation after generation after generation. And so they're watching. These are dietary and lifestyle habits that these people have been doing over their entire life. And oh, by the way, we knew their grandparents too. And we knew that when their grandparents did that, this is what the outcome was.
Well, that's fascinating.
A huge amount of knowledge sitting untapped in Ayurveda. Now, can we simply pick that up and say, okay, let's take that and just pick it up and put it anywhere in the world today? Unfortunately, no. And that's largely because Ayurveda is localized to a geographical region, meaning the weather plays a huge impact. The change in seasons determines the way in which the body's physiology is going to progress through the year, and the way in which the body's physiology is going to have a tendency towards aging. So we actually have to recreate that knowledge now. And this is a part of why it's been such a challenge to get Ayurveda up and running outside of India, because we're literally 200 years behind right now in where we are oriented and grounded into our practice, being localized, being with the same families, same ethnic backgrounds, same diet and lifestyle habits, same cultural habits, right? So the American culture as it is right now, there's a lot of question marks. When somebody comes in and they want to work with an Ayurvedic doctor, we have to really go through their whole entire history. We have to leave no stone unturned, ask every single question. And so that can be very time consuming, but the benefit is that for people in the US who have had sort of absent healthcare for decades now, right? It's only getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Here we have something available that can really help you look back and take stock of what your life includes and what is healthy for you and what is not, and learn how to trend towards that healthy direction.
Wow. That's fascinating. It's so interesting to think about a multi-generational uh, like database that was shared orally, I'm guessing, or were people writing or recording this sort of information so that it could be passed down from doctor to doctor to doctor, or teacher to student in that respect?
So there are different manuscripts that have survived, and two of the oldest ones are sitting right here, actually. The yellow one, the Charaka Samhita,
I wanted to ask you about
and
that. Yeah,
yeah, the
so
blue one, the Sushruta Samhita. So Charaka is our father of internal medicine. Good old Sushruta is our father of surgery, and he is considered today as the father of surgery worldwide. This is the oldest text known today to have survived with surgical instructions in it.
wow. So he's given the accreditation of being the first person to actually perform surgery that we know of?
That's what it seems like from the literature. They have
Wow.
documented rhinoplasty, ear reconstruction surgeries. They have also sort of documented labor and delivery concerns, how to save the mother's life, cesarean section. And his strength, ironically, was actually stitching soldiers up on the battlefield. And
Mm,
so a lot of the surgery that was developed was, it had that as its testing ground.
that's interesting. Yeah. Fixing people after they've been injured in battle.
Yeah.
Wow. And Jessica, you're the first American-born woman to become an Ayurvedic physician and practice independently in India. You went to India and studied for, was it 8 or 10 years? How long of a study did you have to do to become the physician that you are?
So I did the Bachelor of Ayurvedic Medicine and Surgery training. That is a classed as a first professional degree in India. And India's educational system actually follows the British educational system. So even though it's tagged as a bachelor degree, it's actually the equivalent of an MD. So it's a 5.5 year program, and 4.5 of those years are didactic study, full-time study. When they say full-time, they're not joking, man. It's 6 days a week, 8 hours a day
Wow.
for 4.5 years.
Wow.
Right. On top of that, there's a 1 year internship to round off that last year, that 5th year, to get to 5.5. And that's literally 365 days on rotation in the hospital. And
Mm.
we rotate through various departments.
And so it sounds like you had no breaks. So you went from America to India to study Ayurveda and then just full bore. It doesn't even sound like you had time to maybe come back and visit back home. I mean, if you're on a 6 day schedule and then doing that 365-day rotation for a whole year on your 5th year, what was that like?
It was rough. It was especially hard,
Yeah.
like getting used to that. Granted, I mean, I went over there and I was 10 years older than everybody else in the class, and the girls were shocked, and the boys were even more shocked, but they were scared to talk to me. India is very,
Yeah.
women are very feminine and men are very masculine, and there's still this sort of preservation of the gender roles in that way.
Hmm.
And so I was hanging out with all the girls, and you're how old? You're not, first question, you're not married? Oh my God, what are
Mm.
we going to do? If we're that old, we're not married. I was 27 years old. I wasn't that old, I thought. And I had been working in IT before I went. And so I sort of like developed my own career as data architect, doing database programming and that stuff. And you make good money doing that stuff. And
Mm.
so I had saved up all my money to be able to go and do this so I could carry, carry myself for 5.5 years, paid tuition and live
Wow.
on my own money while I was there.
Wow. That's
And so
incredible.
yeah, no, I mean, I was of the mindset like, hey, it's so affordable to live here and stay here. I'm not going to go spend all that money to go back either. And yeah, to your question about breaks, the interesting thing about India, as you probably know, is it's super vibrant, super colorful. Everybody loves to find any reason to celebrate anything.
Yes.
And so, yes, there were tons of breaks, but they're all, let's get up on stage and sing and dance. And I was like, no, 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 I'm not here for your amusement, guys. I'm gonna pass on that one.
Oh my
But there were all
gosh.
kinds of things. Yeah, sports games going on and fun stuff. And it was good
Yeah.
for the kids in there.
Well, that's cool. And I'm curious though, when it's where, the fact that you practiced independently in India, what does that actually mean?
That's a great question. So in my final year, I was happy to be done with this. Meaning I felt really satisfied that I had actually come here with the goal, and I was like on the precipice of achieving it. It was right before final exams of final year, and I studied to no end. First year was very difficult. I had, it was really a question of like, am I going to be able to stick this out or not? But once I miraculously passed exams first year, I got in second year and it was like, okay, I know what to do now. And so I started really getting good at this. And by final year, I graduated first place in my class.
Wow.
So before I took the final year exams, I said, I'm I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to go up to this nice little beach resort about 50 kilometers north of my school, kind of spend the weekend there and just kind of chill on the beach for a bit. Met the most wonderful family running this quiet, beautiful little beach resort in coastal Karnataka, which is just north of Kerala and south of Goa. And they had been running that beach resort for about 22 years. They had, I think, like, I don't know, 10 or 15 cottages with, various numbers of beds in it, a whole kitchen set up, the whole staff set up, and it was family run. And the dad was really into yoga. And so I said, this is amazing. He had a beautiful yoga hall there and everything. And, we may not have talked about this yet, but I love yoga. I was fortunate to get introduced to yoga in 1999 from my yoga teacher, Victor Oppenheimer in Cambridge, Mass. And he's Iyengar style. But so I was really into this with this family, and we got along so well. Then at one point, I went back and visited again. I thought to myself, and we thought, hey, you guys don't have any Ayurveda in this resort. Would you consider possibly, would you be interested in that? And they said, yeah, sure. Here, they've already got the place for patients to stay. We're close enough to medical facilities if we need a backup. I can get all the medicines and everything on site easily. And so I said, all right, let's do this. And I invested a small amount of money to build some treatment rooms and build a room for me to stay. So I stayed there for about 2 years on and off.
Wow.
And was able to get patients to come from all over the world. And now the other double, triple benefit was I could speak to the patients in English.
Yes. Yeah.
Because, in the regular hospitals, maybe 10 or 20% of patients spoke English, if that.
Yep. Yes.
So most of my training was in Canada.
Wow.
Right?
Did you learn to
Tulu.
speak? Did you learn to speak Kannada?
No, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Because we have to memorize so much Sanskrit already for the course.
Yeah.
I was at my limit, man. And if it had been one other language, I think, okay, maybe I could have probably gotten an edge up on the thing, but it was Kannada, Tulu, Hindi, Malayalam, Konkani, and that's just in that region.
Yeah.
And then you get people coming from outside, and it's even Marathi, Gujarati, like never ending.
Wow.
And so it was overwhelming with the amount of languages that they have.
That's incredible, Jessica. And then so you do this for 2 years and you decide, I'm ready to come back to United States. And so then
Yeah.
you came back and thought, I'm guessing you were on fire, like excited, like I did all this training and I've really done the true work to become an Ayurvedic physician. And what was it like coming back into the States and beginning to practice here? Were you met with open arms, or was it more of a, wow, I've got a lot of work to do to educate people?
A little bit of both. And thank you for understanding and recognizing that, because I did come back totally jammed, man. I was so excited. I was like, dude, we can do anything
Yeah,
over here.
right.
And I really went all out. I even stayed, I found a beautiful little like 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house west of Charlotte, out in the woods, super peaceful location, right out on a lake. All the windows look out on this beautiful lake. I thought, I'm going to start a Panchakarma center here. People would love to come here. And unlike, I was coming off of the whole setup in India where we had the hotel resort already set up beachside. All we had to do was put the treatment rooms in, train some therapists up, get the medicines, and boom, before we even turned the lights on the next day, there was a line out the door.
Wow.
And so there was no lag in that. But when I started in North Carolina, unfortunately, it was like crickets.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
am I going to get the people? I'm trained to be a doctor. I'm not a business person. I'm not very good at going out and advertising and marketing and all that stuff. And I really don't have any desire to do that.
Yes. I
So
understand.
that was not in my favor. And then the struggle of actually being able to get something like this up and running here, where you don't have access to the medicines quickly and easily. And most importantly, you don't have access to the skilled labor to do most of this stuff. So it took me a couple of years of struggling and really, holding on to that, wanting to do it, wanting to try, wanting to see it through, to have to finally say, hey, this isn't going to work.
Yeah. That's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
More power to you for actually accepting that, taking another step forward. Can you explain currently now how you are interacting with your community, whether it's locally and or through our global community?
Absolutely. And so the benefit here, I think the skill that I did bring to this was having the professional computer background.
Mm,
And so now knowing that there is such a channel where I can push a button and reach everybody in the world
yeah.
if I go in the right direction, right?
Yes.
At least be able to put it out there. And if somebody is looking, they have a way to find it. And
Yes.
that's huge. And
That
so
is,
I decided, hey, like, let's cut our losses on this other stuff. But the investment, not only the financial investment of setting up a physical center like that, but the time
yeah.
and
Yes.
the effort, right? You pour your heart into that thing and just
Yes.
tear it all down. It's not very nice.
Yeah. I
So
understand.
with this way, we set it all online, and now all of a sudden we can reach people regardless of where they are. Anybody who's ready to say, hey, I want to give this a try. Here it is. It's ready and waiting for you. We
Yeah.
have a system online. We have a way to do this. I've been working with people online really since 2011 almost. I started trying to cull people out of the ethers that way. And even as patients came to me in India and stayed in the resort in India, they would go home and I would still continue to work with them to help them
Mm,
dial in their formulations and to do maybe treatments at home and to kind of keep things on track.
mm. Very cool. You use the word panchakarma, and from Ashtanga yoga, I know the word pancha equals five, the number five. Is that hold true in panchakarma?
That's
I feel
correct. So
like
pancha, yeah,
yeah,
pancha is a Sanskrit word.
it's the five karmas.
Exactly. And so the word karma in Sanskrit can have a lot of interpretations. It's a very generic word, and depending on the context in which we use it, we'll translate it accordingly. So when we talk about karma in the context of Ayurveda in a therapeutic box, we're talking about protocols, about treatments, about specific interventions that we can do to change the course of someone's trajectory of health.
Can you explain a little more if I come to you, say, with a stomach ache, how panchakarma, because I've always heard people say, oh, I went to Costa Rica for a panchakarma retreat or something of that nature. And I always get the feeling that it means like some sort of cleansing experience. Can you give a little more detail as to what Panchakarma entails, or maybe how it does make sense to me? Like if I say I have a stomach ache, that you definitely would ask me, well, what kind of foods are you ingesting? And then you would probably steer me in a direction of something that makes sense to you as to, you might point out, well, yeah, Coca-Cola is not going to really help your stomach ache. Um, can you give a few details about what a Panchakarma treatment can look like?
Absolutely. Yeah. So side note, Panchakarma is my favorite most part of Ayurveda because it is hands down the most powerful. We can really make incredible change relatively quickly. And what that means is like looking in time frames of a month at a time. In 30 days, a person can have their body back.
Wow.
And that's a big proposition, especially if somebody's been sick for 30 years, right? To be able to make a big turnaround like that in 30 days is pretty significant.
Yeah.
So the amount of time, even though a person's 15 days in and they're like, when is this going to end? It's a little bit of a struggle in the middle of it. But in the big scheme of things, it's a drop in the whole bucket.
Yes.
So what Panchakarma is not necessarily what we see out in mainstream media or in mainstream Ayurveda. A lot of people will talk about like these bliss therapies. So I had, oil dripped over my head and laying on a massage table and getting these nice massage treatments and steam and baths and all of that. Technically speaking, that's not Panchakarma. But the phrase Panchakarma has become synonymous with those things because those are preparatory treatments
Mm,
to be able to achieve the outcomes of Panchakarma. So they're like pre-op treatments.
got it.
All right.
Yep.
Really, if we want to get down to splitting hairs on technical details, if we include all of those treatments, all of the oil massages and steams and all that, we're actually looking at the Sapta Karma. And the word Sapta is another Sanskrit term that means 7. So the core Panchakarma include 5 main treatments and Sanskrit names, which maybe we should put in the description below. Vamana, Virechana, 2 types of basti, and rectum, Nasya, sorry. They're 2 separate classifications. I'll just stick with that one for now. Vamana is therapeutic emesis. We purposefully induce vomiting in an individual, and I, usually try to sell this to a person as the most uncomfortable 45 minutes of your life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Not such a great option. And if a person is going to undergo that treatment, it's really best that they only do that in India. It needs to be done under proper supervision. It must be done with immediate backup medical facilities available and in place. And backup medical plan has to be ready for that.
Makes sense.
The second one is called Virechana. And this is where we induce therapeutic purgation. So what we're doing is we're having the person essentially go to the bathroom, go to the toilet, and poop, maybe up to 20 times in a day, maybe in extreme cases, 25 to 30, but it's usually going to be somewhere in between 10 and 20 times. And what that does is it allows a very successful, very deep flushing of the gastrointestinal tract, specifically the small intestines. We then have 2 types of basti, and what that includes is, or rather what that is therapeutic enema. Enema. One of those is a decoction enema, where we mix several ingredients together. It's very sharp, it's very strong, and it's a very large quantity. We're talking about maybe half a liter up to 800 ml. It's a lot of liquid to inject into a person's rectum, into their large colon. And it goes in and it pretty much just comes right back out within a matter of a couple of minutes. The second type of enema is an oil enema. And that one is a lower dose, might be 50 ml, 100 ml. And it's usually going to stay, meaning it'll be retained in the rectum and in the large intestines for, in some situations, even up to 24 hours. It's very comfortable. It's very easy. You don't even really notice that there's anything there. It's just kind of a calm sensation. Then the last 5th one is instilling nasal drops, and this one is called Nasya. So there's quite a number of variations that we can do with this, and if we do it in a hospital setting, we'll typically do it in a stronger way, meaning we'll make sure we do a preparatory face massage for the person, a facial steam, and then we might put up to even 10 drops per nostril, and it creates a very uncomfortable sensation in the head and in the brain to kind of pull out old waste that's trapped up in channels of the head.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know I just keep hearing that word. I didn't realize all of that, all those different steps. And that's all performed over a 30-day period. And I'm gathering that you're using all plant-based medicines to perform this. Is that true?
Sort of. So if we want to perform all 5 in sequence, which is very rarely done today, that typically takes 120 days, according to classical instruction. Yeah, plus or minus 2 weeks, let's say, 14 days. Yeah. But we're looking at a long period of time to be able to put the body through all 5 of those properly.
Got it.
So typically what will happen is a person will just undergo one of those, and that is going to happen within that 30-day window.
Oh, I see.
With the first 2, with the therapeutic emesis, or the vomiting, and the therapeutic purgation, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that has to be done preoperatively and postoperatively to make sure that the body goes through this properly, and we succeed in eliminating the waste without causing any disturbance to their actual state of health in their life. Some of the side effects, the very bad side effects, are death in some of these situations. And so this has to be done carefully.
Yes.
The pre-op and the post-op for those 2 first ones include things like a lot of these treatments that we see. So the oil massage the steam, the other types of maybe like herbal rubs or herbal scrubs and pastes, or pouring treatments where we pour oil over the body, or we pour decoctions over the body. All of those are preparatory treatments. And instead, today, what's happened is in mainstream understanding of Ayurveda, that now takes the spotlight and is thought to be Panchakarma.
That makes sense. Wow. Are you, so if I wanted to benefit from your expertise and and I consult with you, you would be able to perform one of those or series of those different Panchakarma um, protocols with me being virtual. You'd
Yes,
instruct me and teach me how to do it and give me all the ingredients. Do you mail me ingredients? Do I seek the ingredients out myself? Is it, how does that work?
great. So I have had over the last, I'd say, I probably started doing this about 4 years ago, maybe even longer, actually. No, almost close to 10 years ago, but it really picked up in the last 4 years, doing Virachana at home.
Mm,
And I even have a book on Amazon about this. So this can walk you through, help you understand, like, is this even right for me, first of all? Because those hardcore 2 weeks where we're really going at it, the person has to maintain self-discipline. They have to follow the rules, regardless of whether they understand them or not, or they agree with them or not. Right? What we're trying to actually do is replicate hospital level, hospital grade treatments at home where the person who's undergoing it is doing it on themselves.
mm,
And what happens is as a person goes through this process, it can be exhausting,
I bet.
and you get into it and you're like, oh man, I gotta do that again.
Yeah, like it's going way longer than I thought this was going to be, and I didn't expect this to be as challenging as it is. And
Yep. And
yeah.
so, anybody for whom that sounds like, well, I don't know, is always best. Just do it in a center, do it in a hospital,
Yeah.
let people take care of you,
Yeah.
because that's therapeutic in and of itself.
True.
Being in a situation where people are massaging and bringing your food and taking care of you, and it's wonderfully therapeutic for a lot of people.
Wow.
But for those who do want to venture into, hey, you know what, I think I'm not ready to take the trip to India for a month or 2 months. I would rather stay at home, but I do want to get the benefit out of this. If you have a good level of self-discipline, this is definitely within your reach. Just be aware that you're going to need probably, realistically speaking, 3 to 12 months up front of learning, understanding, practicing Ayurvedic routines, daily routines, and dietary routines, and even practicing many of these self-care treatments on yourself at home first.
That's cool. Do you notice people making improvement in their health just through that 3 to 12 preparatory phase? Because often we think like it's going to be the treatment itself that's gonna hopefully cure me of whatever it is I'm going through. But then it just sounds to me like if you're encouraging me to study for 3 to 12 months on something so I really am prepared and ready, I'm going to learn so much that I'm probably going to make some changes to my lifestyle just period, just in this learning process that I would imagine that that I could have like some sort of benefit just from that experience. Do you ever have people actually quote cure themselves or heal themselves of whatever affliction it is, and then not even go through the panchakarma treatment because they're like, wait a minute, I've been doing these extra things. I've been taking care of myself a lot better. I'm actually feeling better. Maybe I don't even need to do
Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There
it.
must have been somebody, where that happened. And
Yeah.
actually, yeah, they wanted to do it. And then it was like, life gets in the way or whatever the
Yeah.
case is.
Yeah.
I'll skip it. And I feel good enough now. I don't really need to do all that.
Mm,
So absolutely. And this is a beautiful thing about it. Regardless of what your goal is, meaning regardless of what it takes to get you motivated to want to do this, because it's all about making that change. It's all about coming at yourself, coming at your life and saying, hey, you know what? I'm ready to look at this objectively.
yeah.
I'm ready to say that I'm going to stick with something for 30 days. And that in and of itself can be super hard for a lot of people. That's why there's so many programs out there. There's so many fads out there. Everybody wants to jump on and, 14 days, 21 days. I did it. I got to the end. Guess what, guys? There is no end.
Understood.
right?
Yes.
And so this kind of turns the tables on all of that of like, hey, how do we learn how to just be happy with ourselves the way that we are now?
Mm,
And incrementally, what can we do a little bit day by day to keep moving in the right direction?
nice. You know, I always think of Ayurveda treatments and or whenever my own understanding of Ayurveda, I always think of like I mentioned earlier, like a stomach ache, or if I had, say, a rash on the skin or whatever. I have a pathology book from massage school, and you know, you flip through and you see how many different diseases there are, and it's like mind-boggling. And some of the photos are obviously really tough to look at, and you go, oh my goodness, like there's that many potential things that can go wrong. But a lot of times in yoga, in terms of orthopedics, like I have an injured knee, or I have back pain, or I have um, maybe like a torn rotator cuff. Is how does Ayurveda uh, approach the orthopedic challenges?
This is another area where Ayurveda shines. One of the doctors that I was fortunate enough to study under in India, he was a master Ayurvedic surgeon. And we would get orthopedic cases in and out all day long. There are a wide range of treatments that we can do in the treatment room because, again, we have all these resources at our disposal. We have all the medicines, we have the trained staff, we have the facilities, the massage table, cooking equipment, everything we need to actually do these things. But the premise comes down to a simple thing that most people can do themselves at home, and that is using oil in the right way to help lubricate and stabilize and nourish the tissue in that area locally, plus heat. Oil and heat, oil and heat, oil and
Mhm.
heat. And that's where we now get down into the nitty gritty. Well, what kind of oil? We have hundreds of medicated oils to choose from in the Ayurvedic formularies.
Wow.
But even before that, you could just try a simple one. Try castor oil. Castor oil is phenomenal for helping to rebuild musculoskeletal issues. Plain castor oil. We do have a medicated version of castor oil as well that has milk and about a dozen other herbs in it that can be really beneficial. And just apply oil to that area locally. Ideally, the oil is going to be warmed a little bit. So even if you just put it in your hand and rub it up, so it's not cold straight out of the bottle, but warm to body temperature. Apply it over that area, rub it in 5, 10, 15 minutes, however long you can. And take a hot compress, like a hot towel that you dipped in hot water, wring it out, lay it over the area, bandage it down. Try to
Mm,
hold the heat on there
yeah.
for 5 minutes, 10 minutes till it cools off, take it off and change it.
Mm. Ooh, yeah, that sounds good. That my back's a little sore right now. Like I'm thinking that would be amazing. But
Yeah, it's really, really
yeah,
wonderful.
incredible. Do are you yourself doing treatments with yourself or on yourself regularly? I'm guessing, do you feel like you're in pretty good health currently?
I am. You know, I went to India when I was 27, and when I got there, I was just like any other regular American. I mean, I wasn't overweight necessarily, but I had a lot of things brewing. And I had had eczema since I was very, very young, since as
Mm.
early as I could remember. I had skin problems. So as soon as I got to India, within the first 3 months, I was sicker than I had ever been in my entire life.
With the
On top
eczema
of
or like a stomach sick or just all
it
across?
with everything, the pollution in the air,
Mm,
the
mm.
spiciness, green chilies, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right?
Yes, the diet change alone when you get to India, you're just like, well, where's just a good old fashioned breakfast? Like, what do you mean? Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
was at just a regular school. I mean, I was one of only 2 foreigners at the entire school. So it's not like this place was interested in catering to any
Mm,
extra needs of anybody, you know?
got it.
So I was
Got it.
expected to just get in line with everybody else, and they're doing it, you could do it too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah, my system was not cut out for that. And so I was, I had explosive rashes. I had terrible acne for about 3 years.
Wow.
after getting there. Yeah, at 27, 28 years old, that's the last thing you think you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
But it was horrendous. I mean, it hurt to smile at different times. It was so bad. And
Were
so,
yeah,
mhm.
were they helping you though? Were they offering you treatments for that?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what happened was everybody was like, okay, you need to do Virachana.
Mm.
And I was like, well, I'll do anything, please. I'm desperate at that point. And so I
Yeah.
said, all right, fine, sign me up. Let's do it. And everybody had their own opinion. Oh, don't worry, you can do this and you can still go sit in class all day long. You could do this at home. You could come to the hospital one day. I come down there on my little scooter, like unable to even concentrate on one point in the road. It was very difficult. And
Wow.
part of the reason I think why I like helping people get into this now is so that they can do it smoothly and they can have a good experience out of it. Because my first one was a circus,
Wow.
and it was very, very difficult. And it didn't really work. It didn't help. I always felt like, the doctor who was with me on that first one, he was going to do whatever he was going to do, regardless of if I was the patient sitting in that chair or not. He had an idea in his mind, and that's what it was going to be. And maybe that works fine with Indian folks, or in his experience, that seemed to be like what it was, what was going to work. But unfortunately, it didn't really help. So I ended up having to do the whole thing over again. Again, second time didn't quite work. I had to fix it with an impromptu enema. Try it again a third time. Finally, when I clicked into like the third, fourth, fifth times, it started to work.
Wow.
I have done this thing now 11 times.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. So,
And
so this is what you coach your clients or patients on, is that we're going to start, and even if it doesn't necessarily work right away, we're going to keep trying, and we're going to keep
yep.
trying and try different things, and until we start to see some benefits. What?
Yeah, and I don't push everybody to do this. It's not for everybody. Not everybody needs to do it, and not everybody wants to do it. Not everybody has that desire. Although I do say everybody should try it once,
Yes.
because you don't understand the other position that you could be in, the other side of clean.
Mm,
But you don't even know what that is until you get a taste of it at least one time.
so
And
curious now.
yeah, I have yet to find one person who has done this and said, no, I don't want to do it again. And that's it. Everybody says I'm going to do this again at some point. The issue is making the time and finding the space for it.
Yeah. Do we have hospitals here in the States that are as dedicated as the ones in South India for these long-term 30 to 60-day treatments?
Unfortunately, not. And the biggest driver of that, or rather the biggest obstacle for that, is probably cost.
Yeah.
Because for somebody to be able to afford staying as an inpatient for 30 days in the facility here in the US, it's going to get outrageous.
Yes.
Instead, what often happens is these groups will say, okay, we're going to take people and go to Mexico and do this. Or we're going to go to someplace where also we don't have as much legal liability to worry about, because none of us Ayurvedic doctors are recognized in the US system. And I actually prefer that, because now we don't have to fall under insufficient regulations either.
Great
Meaning
point.
many people who are trying to propose that Ayurveda be regulated, they're not really pushing for the gold standard in the first place. So
Mm,
why should we even let ourselves get dragged down to that level? Just leave it alone, leave it the way it is, and we can do what we've been trained to do in India. So if people really want to do it at home, that's the best way, because they can be by themselves, they can have the time and space, they can feel comfortable in their own home, and it doesn't become this huge financial burden. Otherwise, it's looking at going abroad somewhere and possibly doing it with a group, in Mexico, Central America, something like that. But the main issues there are, number one, not having access to enough medicines on demand. And if something comes up and we need that, and it's 2 weeks out before it shows up, it's of no use. So really going to India to do proper Panchakarma is kind of the only option out there in the world today. I would say the only other second option would be Germany. They have done a phenomenal job
wow.
integrating Ayurveda into their healthcare system. It's unbelievable, actually.
Wow.
right? They've upgraded massage tables, they're innovating, they're doing all this fantastic stuff, and they really want to retain the quality of Ayurvedic medical care. A cost again there is going to be a question, but at least some Western countries really trying to shoot for the higher standard on this.
That's incredible. Yes, it seems. Is there scientific research and or studies going on to create literature that proves Ayurveda does indeed work?
There
Re-
is, and again, a lot of that is coming out of Germany.
Got it. Very cool. All
Yeah,
right.
they're ahead of us by at least 10 to 15 years right now.
Wow. Amazing. What is an example of a client that you've worked with recently where you have seen phenomenal results?
So several come to mind. One young lady, I had her as my student, and I guess we probably did her Panchakarma, I think 2 years, 18 months ago at this point, almost coming up on 2 years. She had been dealing with digestive issues for most of her life, especially acutely so in the last 5 years. And she's young, in her mid to late 30s. She wanted to go to nursing school. She had done my Ayurveda program. She had done programs at other schools as well. And unfortunately, none of the Ayurvedic doctors dialed in to get her on the right Ayurvedic formulations or medicines. And so her condition kept worsening over time. So finally we decided, okay, we need to, let's do Panchakarma, let's do Virechana at home. She had everything going in her favor. She didn't have a full-time job. She was able to take as much time as needed. Her husband happened to be a wonderful Indian man as well. And so he was on board with everything and super supportive. So he was able to do many of these hands-on treatments on her at home so she could rest while getting the treatments done. Meaning like the preparatory treatments that I had talked about before we actually get into the process. That surprisingly went on for, I think, 17 days. Prep treatments usually live in the realm of 3, 4, 5 days. And hers went on for 17. And so this is what I mean by like, it's super hard to plan. We have no idea how long this is going to take. It's up to the body. We're waiting for the body to show us signs that it has completed a certain step in the process and it's ready to go on. And that's kind of what we're trained to look for is, okay, here's the intervention we do. Here's the outcome we're looking for. Have we hit it yet? No. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, we got it. Next. And then we move through the rest of the process. She came out on the other end. She had a fantastic experience, meaning it was extremely difficult, but she got cleaned out fantastically well. So much so that I think within 2 months, she was able to start her nursing program
Wow.
and basically just go on with her life.
Wow. Is the remind me the Sanskrit term for was it virancha? That's the one where you throw up?
So it's Virechana.
Virechana, thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
and that's the one where you
Virechana.
have the therapeutic purgations.
So you're saying for like 17 days she was having
We were doing the prep treatments for 17
prep
days.
treatment. Okay,
And
sorry,
yeah,
thank you. I misunderstood
it's okay.
that. I was thinking,
Oh, that's
oh
okay.
wow, that's intense. Yeah, all right. So the
Right.
prep, just help me again though, the prep treatments, meaning what was so difficult about the prep treatments?
Right. So typically, again, this is where things get super confusing, right? Because we see all these beautiful images out in mainstream consumerism. The oil massages and the oil dripping in the flowers. And no, it doesn't. It looks so beautiful, right? That's not what it is. Prep treatments are usually going to be drying treatments. And so we
Mm,
actually do various types of treatments that induce sweating
ah,
to dry out waste, which is blocking certain metabolic pathways in the body. Once we
ah,
hit that marker of success in drying, we go on to stage 2, and then we start actually lubricating the person's body by having them drink increasing quantities of ghee first thing in the morning on empty stomach.
got it. Got it.
And these can get up pretty high. I mean, the highest I've seen somebody go is close to 350, 380, 400 ml of ghee.
And that's difficult. I've never tried that. It's difficult to get it down, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's difficult to get it down and to keep it down. I mean, imagine you were to take your jar of ghee that's sitting next to your stove and just
Yeah.
melt that whole thing. How much of that do you think you could drink all at once?
And ooh, yeah, good point. Okay, gotcha.
That's the feeling.
All right. Now we're talking. And in terms of like the heat, to dry, can you explain to me this dynamic? Because I'm thinking of heat is gonna make me sweat, therefore there's moisture. So the idea is to almost like dehydrate the body, so to speak.
That's a very good way to say it, actually. Yes. And even though we're causing the body to sweat, we're actually moving that fluid from inside to out. And we're opening those channels of sweat so that the body can now have this kind of outflow happening over the entire body.
Wow, that's fascinating. When my wife and I were in India practicing Ashtanga, there was a practice where at one point, I guess Pattabhi Jois was telling students after practice, you sweated profusely to rub the sweat back into your body. What is that all about?
That's a good question. So some of these yogic practices may be related to Ayurvedic practices, but I think the context is very different.
Mm,
And so with the yogic practice, right, you're looking at a person who is um, ideally following a certain type of lifestyle, maintaining a certain sleep schedule, following a certain type of dietary habit or restrictive kind of dietary form, and prioritizing the practice of asana and other practices of yoga to kind of upgrade their physical body in a sense, upgrade their physical body's strength, flexibility, defenses, pliability, right? Physical skills in
yeah,
that sense. And also, of
yeah,
course, mental upgrade,
yes.
because we have to have that ability to focus the mind to maintain our physical form in such a way. And so the purpose for some of these yogic practices, I think, is more to support that goal
Mm,
in yoga. And whereas the purpose of many of the Ayurvedic practices is like we're trying to achieve a therapeutic outcome. And the two are not always going to be the same thing.
interesting. We always hear about yoga and Ayurveda being sister sciences. What is the history of the evolution of these two? I mean, obviously we can separate them and say, yes, Ayurveda is Ayurveda, and yoga is a huge umbrella term for a whole host of different practices. Were they developed side by side alongside each other? Was one given credit as being the first and the other born out of the other? What is your understanding of this history?
That's a great question. And I suppose they must have developed side by side to some extent, to the extent that what that looked like as it was going, nobody really knows unless we go back to the literature and we try to like chronologically piece together which literary piece came before the other.
That makes
And
sense.
that's kind of a, maybe that's not the most useful way to try to think about it because it may not always be true,
Yeah, good
right?
point. Good
We
point.
think a book is written at a certain time by a certain author. We could be wrong. And that has shown itself time and time again going into historical studies in Ayurveda, at least. So in the Ayurvedic textbooks, in the Charaka Samhita, actually, there's one chapter that mentions yoga out of 120 chapters in that entire text.
Mm,
So just to, kind of put it in context, reference point, yes, they are linked, but they're very much their own independently operating systems.
understood.
The way I was trained in India, what most teachers said was that Ayurveda was a gift from the gods. It was given to mankind as a tool for sustaining health and to be able to achieve one's life purpose. Not just their life purpose, but to be able to, run their whole life out in a healthy way. Meaning, when we crack that book open, one of the first things it says is that health is the foundation for dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Dharma being our purpose in life, right? Why are we here? Am I here to be an Ayurvedic doctor? Are you here to teach people to, get healthy with yoga? Well, what is our purpose? Is that it? Well, once we find it and figure it out, we're going to study for it. We're going to make effort to try to be able to achieve that purpose. And that's our dharma. That's our calling. That's our path. Karma, just like Panchakarma, right? Here we go. Another meaning for the same word. Karma is all about enacting that purpose.
That makes
So
sense.
now we know what we're supposed to do. Now it's time to put our heads down and actually do it. And this could go on for a long time. At some point, karma hopefully shows up and gives us a little bit of reprieve. Karma is the enjoyment. It's literally the fruits of our labor.
Yeah.
Right? And the order of these is so important because it's put in this exact order. Study what you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do, and then enjoy it. And once you get that sequence down, moksha comes in, and moksha is translated in many different ways, I'm sure, as you're familiar with. In this context, it's helpful to just see it simply as detachment. We've been in this bondage of being called for a certain purpose, driving that purpose home, doing it, enjoying the results of our work, and now it's time to say goodbye.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's an incredible breakdown of sequence of steps that we go through in life. Incredible. It's amazing, Jessica. There's such a wealth of knowledge that you've accumulated over the years. I really enjoy hearing about all of this. Can you please tell me, like, or and all of us listening, how can we find you?
Sure. So the best way to find me now is on my new website. That's findradiance.com. And that's where I am working with folks online in many different forms. The most common form now is group cohorts. We take people in at certain times of the year. We get everybody started into this whole process and help work things out over the course of usually a couple months and longer, of course, if anybody needs. That can lead to Panchakarma. That can lead to deeper Ayurvedic training for those who want to go that route as well. So it's really just about getting this knowledge out there. Let's get this in your hands where you can use it and you can get benefit from it.
Incredible. Can you tell me about the books that you've published?
Sure. So after I, determined that the Panchakarma wasn't going to work here in the US, I decided the next best thing to do would be to let me train some folks. Let me try to help bring up the state of Ayurveda in the US. And so around that, I started writing 6 volumes for professional study. 3 of those are now on Amazon. They're still very imperfect, but they are there. And 3 more are in the process of making their way onto Amazon, hopefully in the next year or 2.
Wow.
There are 3 other books for Sanskrit and 1 other book for Varichana.
Wow. You've got a lot of well, that sounds like the second of the 4 that you said. Wait, what was it? It was
Artha.
first Dharma,
Or,
and then and then Karma, then Artha. No, no, no.
yeah, so Artha.
Thank you.
Sorry, did I tell you the wrong thing? Dharma, Artha, Kama,
Artha.
Moksha. Yeah, I think I told you the wrong thing before. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. We got the idea. I mean, it does require so much work to kind of put that sort of literature together. That's incredible. And you have this sort of computer tech background behind you. Very studious. So many years of study and work. What a pleasure to meet you. This is incredible, Jessica. And so you're training people also to become Ayurvedic physicians, so to speak. Have you been able to take somebody through this from ground zero to the point where you say, I believe you have the skill I have. Let's get you working with people. Have you gotten to that point yet?
Unfortunately, I can't do that myself. It takes a
Yeah.
whole team of
Yeah.
Ayurvedic doctors, right? Imagine getting trained by only one person, the limited knowledge and the limited purview that one would have with that. I only got as good as I am because I had access to amazing teachers in India.
Yes.
And that's where the real gold is from those folks. I'm nothing compared to them. I mean, they're some of the most brilliant people I've ever encountered in my entire life. I will say one of my students made the smart move of actually deciding to go to India and pursue the same degree, the Bachelor of Ayurvedic Medicine Surgery degree. And he's now
Wow.
there and
Wow.
hopefully will graduate in a few more years. So that's what it takes. If somebody wants to really become an Ayurvedic doctor, we really need to try to uphold the quality of the education and the profession and encourage people to go and do it in India.
That's amazing. So he came to you and then just got so inspired and motivated. And I want to learn, I want to learn. And you said, if you really want to go there, you got to go do what I did. And he's doing it.
That's right.
Wow.
And he was lucky enough to get a full scholarship.
Wow. And he's
Yeah,
from the States as well?
he
Born and
is. He's
raised? Oh,
American. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Ooh, how
So
cool
yeah,
is
hopefully
that? That's
somebody
gotta
else will
feel
be
good.
coming out. It
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah. To get someone that motivated to really go the distance like that. And so one thing to sign up for a 200-hour training where you're going to be doing a couple of weekends with a few people, you know what I mean, to actually devote your life to going to India and studying and practicing. Has he gone to this? He's going to the same exact school that you went to, so he's coming.
No,
Yeah.
he got into a different school.
Okay.
The school that I went to it was a little odd that I ended up there in the first place. I found out about the school in 2006. I saw a picture of a beautiful Dhanwantari statue that they have in their hospital, and something just clicked inside. It said, "That's the place. That's where I'm going." And
Wow.
against everyone else's best advice, I went there.
I don't care what you tell me about it. I'm going there. I just had a vision. I'm going. But then but you're coaching, nothing against that school, but you coached him, your friend, this student. Let's find this other school, or I heard about this other school, and that's working out well for him.
Exactly, because he's actually going to the school that the foreigners usually go to. I
Uh-huh.
did the oddball thing.
You did the
So he's
envelope thing.
doing the right
Yeah.
thing, and um, they've changed their whole process and everything anyways in the meantime. And so I don't think he could have even gotten into the school that I went to at this point because they've sort of closed things down. They're trying to
Wow.
keep all the foreigners in one place to make it
Oh,
easier for them.
you got the full authentic experience. I'm just trying. I had the great visual though of you on a little motorbike going through these treatments, barely able to see straight, and like, I'm just gonna finish. I'm not giving up. I've made it
Pretty
this
much.
far. I can't give up. But
Pretty
just,
much. Now imagine that little scooter in the middle of monsoon. And
oh
I
yeah.
had my whole
Oh yeah.
rain gear outfit on, my bright yellow boots and everything, and just
Oh
on my
my.
little scooter in torrential downpours, going through eight,
I
10 inches of water to get to the hospital.
I can't imagine it, Jessica, because my wife and I decided to go to Goa during monsoon season to go study with an Ashtanga practitioner. And I looked at the rainfall amounts in Florida and I saw it said like, oh, there's like 60 inches of rain per year. And then I looked over at the monsoon rainfalls in Goa and it was like, oh, there's like 60 inches of rain in like 3 months. And I thought, rain's rain and we have hurricanes here. It's no big deal. Let's go. And we got to Goa and it was monsoon. Now I understand what that means. And all of the Goans had boarded up their shops the way Florida looks when a hurricane comes. Like everyone's out of here. And they're like, why are you here? Everyone goes to Rishikesh. Why would you be in Goa right now? And I was like, I didn't know. I just didn't think rain would be that big a deal. But it rained every day, all day, like just so heavy. So I did not ride a motorbike. I hired a taxi to get me around because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to try to motorbike my family around. So that's a great visual. I love your determination, your grit. I love that you've put so much time into your profession and you're still just pushing ahead. It's really admirable, Jessica. And this is a true honor to get to meet and speak with you. And I'm just so thankful for taking time out of your day. And I hope to have further conversation with you and hope somebody's motivated to study and practice with you. And if they have any sort of health concerns that maybe they can reach out to you and feel better, to actually just feel good.
Yeah,
It, it is amazing to feel good, right?
it
It's
really is. And
yeah.
and no matter what anybody tells you, it's there and it's waiting for you. And that's what I think is the spark that can get everybody motivated to say, hey, let me just try this. And that's the thing that everybody needs to, keep getting up every day and trying to make it sunny out even when it's cloudy, right? What can we do to keep ourselves in the right frame of mind? There's a lot.
Yes. Wow, Jessica. This is great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Todd. This is really fantastic. You're a wonderful human being. Thank you for
No,
putting all this stuff out there for people.
no, I
Really,
appreciate
it's a
it. That means a lot to me.
work of love to do all
Yes.
this.
Oh man. Well, having guests like you is why I'm doing it. So I will be in touch, and I can't wait to
Excellent.
see your practice grow. It's gonna be amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll do this again sometime.
All right.
All right,
Perfect. Thank
take
you,
care.
Jessica. Thank you.